Welcome to Garbage Guys Escape with Dysol. Today's unit gets knocked down, but it comes back again. You ain't never going to keep it down. It's the Papa Pads of Hero Scape, the Marro Warriors. Now, the card is full of great stats. 6 move, 6 range, 2 attack, 3 defense, 4-figure squad. Those are all really solid. Now, 12 threat range is a lot and allows you to cover a lot of ground. 2 attack doesn't seem like a whole ton, but given the 12 threat range, it'll likely be 3 a lot of the time. And 4 attacks is going to kill a lot more things than you think it will, even at 2 attack. Now, the big reason to draft them is Water Clone. Thanks to this power, they'll be back for more sequels than Land Before Time, Friday the 13th, Fast and Furious, and the MCU combined. Now, they do pair well with, honestly, a lot of different things. At 50 points, well, fine. I guess we're just changing everything then. Honestly, even at 105 points, they're pretty solid. They're just more of a ranged component to an army rather than the insanely good filler they used to be. Do you want a good ranged component to your army? Bing. Do you want a ability to win the game as long as they can't keep killing off your dudes? Bing. Do you want to cackle at your opponent as you keep rolling to bring back your dudes multiple times throughout the game? Bing! Now, they do have some synergy with units like Subakna, but that's a lot of points for something that they don't really need to be boosted all that much. The D20 roll is already pretty good as it is. Now, people might look at them and think, that's good, but not game-breaking. The big thing they give you is inevitability. If a game with Marro Warriors is allowed to progress to its endgame state without the Marro Warriors being killed, they will win in a lot of scenarios. Now, you don't believe me? Watch Big Daddy Charos against 4 measly little Marro Warriors. Now that we've seen that, how do we use them? Well, the good news is there's a lot of ways to use them. You can use them at the beginning of the game, you can use them at the end of the game, and sometimes both. In the early game, you send them out as a strike force, and you just ping away at your opponent's early forces. And then once they start making their way across to you and you are in danger of losing them, then you retreat and pop open the Xerox machines for later. In the end game, you just basically run around the map kiting them, while they have to keep up while you play Star Trek Replicator. The biggest question with them is, when should you water clone? And of course, the answer is, it depends. It depends on 2 big factors, the board state and the damage you conflict. In the early game, as long as you have at least 1 that you can run away with, you're probably fine to just keep shooting away. If it's the mid or late game when you're using them as your primary offensive force, you have to play a lot more of assessment games. If you have a very dominant position and you can probably kill everything that's going to come at you, even with only 3 attacks, I'd say go for it. If you are probably going to get counterattacked no matter what you do, and they're you're probably going to lose 1 or 2 on the backswing. It might be better to just retreat and clone back up. Kind of in the middle of these scenarios, it's a little harder to assess, but I think honestly, if you're not sure, retreating and rolling is going to be the safer play that will probably lead to better dividends down the road in the long run most of the time. Yeah, if you keep doing this over and over again, eventually you get an army that Palpatine will be proud of. This, of course, sometimes means that you run into the water and...
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
If you are playing against these little gremlins that got watered after midnight, you need to be an exterminator. You see a Marro Warrior, you want it dead. You want its family dead. You want the hive burned to the ground. If you let one of them get away, they'll pull a triple and come back with all their buddies. Now, there's a couple of exceptions. If you have an endgame figure with more than like 6 range, especially one that can attack and kill more than 1 a turn, it's probably okay to let that one get away because you'll probably be winning the end game anyway. If you don't have one of those figures, it probably might be better to just go ahead and kill that thing that's sitting there if you get the shot. Now, don't sacrifice your whole game plan to do this, but if you have the opportunity and you're not going to win that end game, I think it'll pay big dividends to do it. You can also win in the end game if you have a bunch of figures in like the middle of the board and they are just basically getting activated near their opponent's start zone. That's something you could still probably win, even though that's a little dicey, but still you got a much better chance than if you have like a single figure left. That's when you want to be targeting them early on in the game. And really, killing them is usually never going to work out too badly as long as you aren't sacrificing too much in response to get there. If you are playing an untimed game, this is a lot more valuable because they will literally just run around the board whittling you and you have to play whack-a-mole. If it's timed, this is less of an issue because while they can still bring back squad figures and at a good clip and that's still going to be pretty good value, it's not a guaranteed win like it is in an untimed game. So do keep that in mind that they should be a target, but they're not as high of a priority when the game is timed. Whether or not they're the best target for you to go after is, again, do you think you can win that end game? If you think you can win the end game, even if there's a full contingent of Marro Warriors, I better just kill the other thing there. If you don't, though, whittle them down and try and finish them off. Ultimately, if they're all clones, then the question of which one do you shoot is all of them.